my name is Flannery Dillon, and this is my senior exhibition. So originally, I wanted to take Senior X in the fall, and I wanted to take it independently because my mom is the Senior X coordinator, so I thought I could just do it on my own and get it done, and it'd be easy and fun. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll try doing something with henna because I love getting henna done. It's really cool, and I thought, why not learn how to do it so I could do it to myself. But then I found a mentor, but she lives in Portland, and I just didn't think that was realistic for me to travel there all the time to get my hours done. And then I thought, oh, why don't I travel to Ecuador and live with our friends there? But then I realized I don't have time for that either with my busy schedule. So time management was a big issue for me in the fall. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, and so I ended up running out of time for the fall semester. So I started around January, and I was thinking, oh, I love dance, and it's always been a big part of my life, but I was afraid that doing something with dance would be too familiar to me because I've been in a lot of productions throughout my years in the high school. I've been in show choir every year, I've been in the fall musical every year, and I've taken dance classes on my own. So I had a lot of background in certain dance styles. But I decided to try Irish step dancing because there was one day I was getting my hair done for the musical with my mom and her friend, and we were talking about how we wanted to take a trip to Ireland as my graduation present from my mom, and so I realized why not tie that in and make the experience more meaningful. So I found my mentor, Caroline. She is an elementary school teacher. She teaches at Connors Emerson School. She has a lot of experience in Irish step dance because her grandmother was an Irish step dancing, and her mother is, and she also danced from ages 7 to 14 in competitions called the Fesh. She studied dance at the Vivian Butler School of Dance. And I was talking with her about why she loves it, and she mentioned how not only is Irish step visually beautiful, but it's also something that can be social. It can be seen at family events and gatherings, which I thought was really interesting to me because you only see ballet and modern dance usually on the stage, and it's not something that you see in a less formal setting. And she also talked about how she wanted to learn Irish step dance to keep in touch with her family history, which is also a reason why I wanted to because my family is also Irish. And she started teaching dance classes to teach children to be curious about different dance styles and the history of things. So I looked a lot at, we were traveling to Ireland, so I wasn't sure if I wanted to just look at the history of Irish step and the culture of Ireland, or if I wanted to just focus on learning the dance, but I found that all my reflections pointed to me as a dancer myself. I mean, I learned a lot about Irish step dance, but what I reflected on mostly was how I was picking up the dance myself. So my central question is, how can learning Irish step dance help me to understand myself as a dancer and also as a learner in general? So going into this, I didn't have really any knowledge about Irish step dance. I knew that they didn't really move their arms, but I had seen Lord of the Dance. We have it at my house on a DVD, and so it's so showy. So they move their arms there. And I knew about rubber dance, which is they have the harder shoes instead of the soft shoes, which is step dancing. And I mean, I've been dancing a lot, so I figured it would be pretty similar to any other kind of dance style that I've been doing. And so I thought it would be similar, something to tap dancing. I've been doing that for a while, so I thought it would be pretty easy for me to pick it up. And I knew it had different music, and maybe the tempos of the music were going to be different, and I also expected that I was going to be with Caroline a lot, and I would learn this huge, crazy dance and show you guys, and it'd be awesome. So the first time I met with Caroline, she showed me what is called the beginner's reel, which is a dance that's learned in each dance school. Everyone learns it when they're first learning Irish step, and within each dance school it might be a little bit different, but the general idea is the same. So in my mind, I cut it up into two different parts. So in the beginning, you stand with your foot pointed, kind of in fifth position like you would in ballet. That's how I kind of relate it back to what I know. And then you start with a cut, which is kind of like a jump like this, and you bring your leg up like you're cutting something else. And then there's these things called sevens where you travel across the floor. And it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then there's steps called back 2, 3s, where you step back 2, 3, back 2, 3. And so here's a video of us doing that. me to learn. It has cuts both in the front and kind of facing towards the back, and there's like a heel ball change, and then the back 2-3s again, and at the end you put your toe out again and you take a bow. So Caroline and I spent a lot of time in this one little part of this second part where you put your heel down and kind of jump and do that, because I just couldn't, there's a little kind of catch stuff, and so I'd always forget about it and want to keep going, but so we ended up recording ourselves using these videos, and I went home and practiced it a lot so I could get that down. So after I met with her, she showed me these Cowcast videos to learn the basic steps of Irish step dancing, and there's the instructor and the dancer. And so the instructor tells you about like the correct form of, having your shoulders back and your arms straight and your head up, and just the different ways your feet should be moving as the dancer would show them. And then Miss Mack showed me the Big Jig, which is a TV show. It's basically the Irish version of Dance Moms. It's about these 3 girls, and it follows their lives as they go to the competitions. And then also, along with this, I found Jig, which has some of the same girls that are in the Big Jig. And so that just shows how really important this dance is to these girls, and they spend so long learning their dances. They spend 3 hours a day, every day, for a whole year on something that they might only be on stage for a minute. So then, after learning about all the dance steps and working on it with Caroline, I realized that I couldn't really pick it up as easily as I thought I was going to. There was a lot of difficult, tiny little steps that I wasn't quite sure how to do because I'd never seen them before. And there was the difficult rhythms, like the 7s. Usually, I would like 7 counts, and usually I'm used to stuff with 4 counts or 8 counts. So every time we would travel across the floor, I'd want to go another step to make it an 8 count like I was used to. And there's no arm movement, and you gotta keep your arms straight. And I'm so used to, putting my arms out and being really expressive with them. And so that was really hard for me. I mean, even in the videos, I'm kind of like wobbling around because I want to move my arms. And so the dance itself that we learned, I mean, it's not super fast, but it was fast for me. It was fast-paced. And I found that, to me, it seemed like there was a focus on one foot, like you do the cuts, and then you do more cuts on one leg, and then you travel across the floor and travel back before you could do the cuts with your left leg. And I'm used to doing one thing and then going right back to the other side to keep it equal. So that was another thing that was difficult for me. And the stepping backward, you do the back 2-3, back 2-3, and you never really move forward. And so that was another thing that I kept confusing myself because I wanted to, just move all around, but I just had to go back. And so I learned that, I wanted to just follow along with Caroline that first time she showed me, but I had to have her break it down into each little step. And so that was, it took a while, but I'm glad that I learned how to do that so I could actually do the dance without pretending that I knew what I was doing. So to combat all those problems that I was having with the difficult steps, I watched the Howcast videos a lot and just watched the same one over and over just to make sure I knew what I was doing. And I also attended one of Caroline's classes, and most of the kids, it's like, my sister's in it, and she's 10, and so it was really young kids. So it was different for me to be in a class with kids who were half my age, basically, because I was at the same level as them. So we did a lot of skipping around the floor, like they do in The Wizard of Oz, and a way Caroline helped us to understand keeping our arms straight was she told this story about how in Ireland, the people loved to dance, but the police didn't want them to. So in their homes, the people would, only dance with their feet and their arms straight. So if a policeman looked in their window, they would just look like they were walking across the floor instead of dancing. So after the class, I also took a time at home to go through each move, and I watched the videos that we had recorded. And when I kept replaying them over and over to fix those tiny little steps that I didn't know how to do. And having that class with Caroline was really helpful because not only did it help me to be in a new setting with all these kids that I wasn't used to, but it helped me just to get the very basics at a really basic level of learning them. So also, along with this, my mom and I went to Ireland in early May, and we found this traditional Irish night by looking on these Irish heritage websites at Bunratty Castle, where they have, traditional Irish music and Irish step dance, and I thought, why not go to that? It'd be perfect to be able to compare. I mean, they're obviously going to be better than me, but just to be able to pick out the different steps that they're doing and compare it to what I've been doing with Caroline. So we did a lot of planning, although we didn't have a strict itinerary or anything while we were there. We were always changing our plans, but Miss Mack gave me, she told me about the Rick Steves books, and she gave me a bunch of other travel books that we used to, find different places that we would want to go. And I decided I wanted to go to Shannon, which is more on the countryside, so I could get a different feel for Ireland, which is what I expected, rather than, going to a city, which, a city's a city, but I wanted to get the small windy roads, and you see all the sheep and the cows just everywhere, which is exactly what I wanted. And so also before we left Miss Mack, she gave me this children's book called Flying Feet to read. And it's a story of Irish dance. It's about these two men who go to a town, and they kind of apply to become the dance teacher in each town, and so they compete against each other like a fesh, and the winner gets to be the teacher of the town, and the one who doesn't win, he has to go off and find another town to try and be the teacher for. So it was kind of cool to just see the comparison to real life competitions and a storybook setting. So yes, going to Ireland, we did a lot, which wasn't directly related to learning Irish step dance, but it was really important to me to be able to immerse myself in the culture and learn about where this dance originated from. And the instant my mom and I landed in Ireland, we just saw how friendly and welcoming and helpful everyone was, and how willing they were to just help us out. And so we asked one man, actually, is everyone actually this nice in Ireland? And he's like, well, Ireland's a small place, so your family might know everyone else's family, or they might know of you, even if they don't know you directly. Like, everyone knows everyone, so you better be good. I kind of related that back to the island. Like, we know a lot of people, and we're always, we have Bar Harbor Barter and Swap where we help each other out, and there's just a big community vibe going on. And I also found that, Gaelic is important. They have it on the signs, like the road signs and stuff, and some people speak it, but it's not required for everyone to speak it. And as we learned about that, I also realized that dance is not as prominent as I thought it would be in Ireland. We heard that we could go to any pub and see Irish step dancing, but that wasn't the case. The only time I actually did see Irish step dancing was on the stage at the traditional Irish night. So, my mom took a small video for me at the traditional Irish night. There's these two girls on stage, and they're doing a lot more than I know how to do. But I did pick out the different cuts they're doing, and they travel across the floor and do the sevens, which I learned. So here's a video of that. There's the sevens. And so, coming back from Ireland, I was able to revisit my question and kind of think about everything I learned with Caroline and talked with her about, and everything that I had experienced in Ireland, to just think back on it, about how learning this new dance can help me understand myself more. And so I learned that learning a new dance style is difficult for me, especially if it's something that I've never learned. I've never known anything like it before. It's completely different. So there was a lot of new steps and different terms, and the timing was different. And so, these girls have a lot of training to be to the level of where they are. And so, even though I'm not there now, I feel like I have a better understanding of what it takes to, compete. And I learned that it's specific to Irish culture, but it's important, but it's not as prominent as I thought or had, anticipated it was going to be. And I learned a lot about my learning style and how everything, I can learn way better with hands-on activities, even in school and just a classroom. If we do something that's hands-on, like in science or something like that, I'm much more apt to understand it more instead of just listening to something and having it go right through my head. And also, I learned that practice is really important to me to be able to feel confident in something. And I always thought about this when I would get ready to do presentations like this one today. I always get so nervous for these kinds of things or presentations for school because I don't ever practice before I go stand up in front of a class. Like, I just don't take the time to do that. So I'm always way more nervous than when I'm performing on stage, like in a play, because we have a month to rehearse our lines. And so it's just interesting to, even though I feel comfortable when I'm on stage, it takes that extra step to feel even more confident to practice. So now, I plan to be a dance major at Goucher College. I talked to this one girl, and we were talking about maybe starting an Irish step club because we both are kind of into it. So that would be cool to do that. And I would love to go back to Ireland and continue my explorations of the country. And now that I've done this whole project, I have a better understanding of the way I learn, not only as a dancer, but as a person in a classroom. And I know how to prepare myself to feel more comfortable talking in front of people. And also, I have a better love for the dance because I have the historical and cultural context from which the dance came from. I could just learn Irish step dance and be like, this is what I learned and this is what I can do. But to have that extra knowledge of the country that it came from and the people and all the steps, it just gives me a better appreciation for the dance itself. And so now I'm going to show you the beginner's reel that I learned with Caroline. And we also learned this in her dance class as well. So it's just a short one. Teaching the dance class to help me understand the dance and learn the dance and talk to me about her experience with dance. And I'd like to thank Ms. Mack for helping me to channel all my ideas into one simple, essential question. I'd like to thank my senior exhibition class for watching my practice presentations when they weren't fully together and I was really nervous. And I'd like to thank the dancers at Bunratty Castle because watching them was really important for me to understand, these girls practiced a lot just to do this one little short thing and to, pick out the different steps that they did. I'd like to thank Jillian, our innkeeper, for helping us to find places to go all over Ireland, and my mom for taking me to Ireland, and the MDI EEF grant for helping me to buy tickets to go to Bunratty Castle.
For Flannery. I do. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think that you might try to do a semester in Ireland when you're in college?
Actually, they have a lot of travel abroad things with Goucher because they're really good with that. And there's actually a 3-week one, I think, and it's for dancing.
Oh.
So I'll probably do that.
So during the presentation, I was thinking, why is there no arm movement? Why is there no arm movement? And then you answered that question. But I wonder if, in doing some of your research, did you read anything about the history of Irish step dance? How did it come about, and what are maybe some of the traditions?
I read a bit about it, just how it's like a social event or some kind of, event like that, but I didn't read about why their arms are straight. I never found that out.
Mm-hmm. Well, we heard the little story.
Yeah.
That was a great anecdote.
Yeah,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And so is